Last weekend, Syracuse football pulled off something it had never done before, winning a game in Death Valley. While the 34-21 victory at Clemson was a statement from Fran Brown's squad, it wasn't all positive for the Orange. After quarterback Steve Angeli suffered a torn Achilles that will keep him out for the rest of the season, it's Ricky Collins leading the way from here on out. With another important ACC test today against Duke, can Collins lead the Orange to victory in his first collegiate start, or will the Blue Devils play spoiler in front of a sold-out crowd at the Dome? We're here to break it all down on a special hour-long Cuse countdown, which starts right now. Welcome in to our 1 hour edition of Cuse Countdown here on the Quad. It's a beautiful day in Syracuse, New York for an important ACC test between the Syracuse Orange and the Duke Blue Devils. Alongside both Nathaniel Cunningham and Milo Hoffman, I'm Sam Reis, and it's only September still, guys, but there's so many exciting storylines in this one. What catches your eye heading into this matchup?
Well, Sam, it's pretty simple. Syracuse is coming off their biggest win of the season. They took down a Clemson team, and they dominated the whole time, Milo. On the flip side, Duke, they've looked a little shaky, but their defense is incredible. One of the best defense, I would argue, in the ACC. So this is a team that could actually go out here, shock some Syracuse fans, but the Orange, they couldn't be on a better ride right now.
I mean, you talk about one of the best defensive teams in the ACC. They give up the most points, though, in the ACC. Overall, I think Syracuse and Duke are two very evenly matched squads. You look at the numbers up and down the list. You even got Fran Brown and Manny Diaz, two second-year head coaches. So I think overall this is Syracuse's most even matchup to this point of the season so far, and a big one, to say the least.
It's certainly a big one. Syracuse coming in with momentum after last weekend's victory at Death Valley, and we are now excited to be joined by our reporter from inside the Dome, Josh Richardson. The vibes are high here on the Quad outside the venue, but Josh, how's it going in there about an hour till kickoff?
Sam, this is one of those games that everybody had circled on their calendar before the season started. It's family weekend. This is going to be a packed dome, but it may not be what everybody immediately signed up for when this schedule came out, because you guys have mentioned it off the top of this. So Syracuse coming off its best win of the season, first double-digit win against a conference opponent on the road in 6 years. And with that win, there was a big cost for the Dubs. Steve Angeli goes down, season-ending Achilles tear, and now you bring in Ricky Collins. The attention shifts back over to him from where it was when he was named the starter back in early spring before Angeli came into the mix. The question is going to be for the Orange, can Ricky Collins be the quarterback that the Orange thought they had back in April before they thought that they needed to make a shift over to Angeli? Is the offense going to look the same with Ricky Collins that it did with Angeli? Is Collins going to stay in the pocket? Are they going to try for some more designed rollouts? How can you get Collins out of the pocket, get his legs moving, because that is his strength. He can throw. Fran Brown has said during all week that he can still throw the ball, and this offense is going to move through the air. But Collins has another level to his game that can really be brought to you on the ground. One thing's for sure, it's going to be a packed dome, 40,000 in attendance, students, parents, brothers, sisters, everybody that you could possibly imagine will be here cheering on the Orange this afternoon, and it's going to be a good one.
Josh Richardson, thanks so much. Great insight as always. He's inside the Dome. Make sure to follow him on X for coverage throughout today's game for CitrusTV. Kickoff coming up at noon. Josh mentioned 40,000 fans on hand. It'll be a packed house. We're seeing several of these fans file in right now to the JMA Wireless Dome, and we're now pleased to be joined by, I'm calling him our Quad reporter, Gino Antimarino, who's somewhere out and about getting the sense of what exactly this atmosphere is like here on Family Weekend. Gino, what are you up to?
Yeah, Sam, I mean, as you can see behind me, everybody is filing in. The band just got done going crazy doing the songs, and everybody's getting fired up. It's family weekend, as you just said, so there's a lot of family going and coming to this game, and it should be an electric atmosphere. Obviously, it helps that Syracuse is coming off a big-time victory against Clemson in Death Valley last weekend. That's got to get some buzz, right? So as you can kind of see over my shoulder and around me, tons of people here. It's family weekend, like I said. So, my job is going to be walking around. I got Luke Moyer right behind the camera. He's going to be helping me out. We're going to be trying some things. Stick around. It's going to be a very hectic day, but with some really fun festivities. We got cornhole, we got food trucks, we got music. There should be an electric atmosphere. But in the meantime, as we look around and try and find different things, we'll send it back to you, Hanson, over in front of the dome. We got history coming up for Syracuse. We'll send it back.
Course of the next hour in the build-up to game day. He'll continue to venture around campus here as the fans file in for this one. And listen, Syracuse football, not a lot of history with Duke. This is just the 6th meeting, first in 5 years. But when it comes to all other sports, there is plenty of history there. So Alex Burstein and Drew Alba delve into that history that exists across the sporting landscape beyond just football here on the Hill.
Drew, it's 11 a.m. Where is everyone?
I thought there was a big Syracuse-Duke game going on.
I know, I did too. Maybe we just don't understand this rivalry?
Why don't we take a trip and find out?
Okay.
But when you think of Syracuse and Duke, your first thoughts probably come right here to the basketball court. Drew, go out for a pass.
Good pass, Alex. Syracuse has played Duke almost 20 times in the last dozen years, and it's led to a lot of iconic moments.
History has even been made on the sidelines. In 2019, over 35,000 fans packed into the Dome to watch Syracuse take on Duke. That's the largest on-campus crowd for a college basketball game ever. And as you can imagine, there's not the friendliest feelings between the Orange and Blue Devil fans.
But the big moments have happened right here on the court. Tied up at 75 apiece against the top 10 Duke squad, John Gillen.
25-footer, yes! Off the glass and in! John Gillen has beaten Duke!
Nice shot, Drew. Well, that wasn't the only big moment between these schools. Take 2014, for example, when Syracuse won 91-89 in overtime to improve to 21-0 on the season.
But hoops aren't the only thing this rivalry is known for. They're also known for something else.
When you think of the JMA Wireless Dome, your first thought probably goes to football or basketball.
But what it should go to is Syracuse-Duke lacrosse.
The two teams have played 9 times this decade.
And they've played a national championship that SU still has a sour taste for.
Pretty much every single matchup is close. Over the last 10 years, the two squads have gone into overtime 4 separate times.
And talk about being close, back in May, an ACC championship game ended in a 9-8 thriller.
But when it comes to football, these two really aren't rivals. They've only played each other 5 times. Hey Drew, go long.
The closest matchup between the two sides was 14 points in a Tommy DeVito loss against Duke. But maybe today changes things up a little bit.
Oof, that kid's got an arm. So, is this a football rivalry? Not quite yet, but these are two teams on the rise, and in front of a sold-out Dome today, anyone could make a statement. For now, back to you, Sam.
I'm also a pretty good tackler.
Oh. Drew and Alex, thank you so much. Back here on the quad as we're getting ready for kickoff between Syracuse and Duke. Like they mentioned right there, maybe not a whole lot of history between the football teams, but I always look at the prime days of that Syracuse-Duke basketball rivalry when this place behind us was packed to the brim with over 35,000 fans.
Absolutely unbelievable. I need to get myself into the Dome for one of those 35,000 fan outcomes. But it's true, Syracuse and Duke on the football field has just not been the same. We've already said it, just the 6th meeting between these two teams overall. Even on the lacrosse team, it's been a little bit more like Alex and Drew were talking about. But if this rivalry can sort of brew up these two up-and-coming sort sort of programs on the football landscape, it could be good for the game overall.
Well, Milo, this is a defining game in that rivalry.
Yeah.
You have two head coaches that are in their second year. They are looking to really make a statement, and this can make or break their season if something goes wrong. Manny Diaz has already lost 2 games, and he hasn't looked good in those 2 that he's lost. Fran Brown needs to prove that with Ricky Collins, he can still win. And I think both of these coaches need this win just as much as the next one.
That's right. It's still a big one, even though these two teams haven't met in 5 years. Plenty at stake inside the dome behind us. It's time for our first break, but after a quick break, when we step aside, we'll look back on Syracuse's season so far. Don't go anywhere. Live Cuse Countdown continues next. Welcome back to Cuse Countdown, a 1-hour edition in build-up to this ACC clash between Syracuse and Duke. From just outside the dome, he's Nathaniel Cunningham, he's Milo Hoffman, and I'm Sam Reis. We thank you so much for joining us, and we talked to our reporter on the quad, Gino Antimarino, at the top of the show. We have him with us once again. Gino, I heard you found a friend now.
I certainly did. Look, we got the overalls going on. I mean, this is awesome. Who are we here with?
We're here with George, freshman TRN. This is my mom.
So family weekend. How do we feel so far about the festivities going on here on the quad?
We're feeling great, Gino. We're feeling fired up. This is definitely, I say right now, a football school. You can thank Fran Brown for that, or you can blame Red for that too. I'll tell you what. But this is one of the biggest games coming up. A big win against Clemson. Nothing bigger. Road win, dominating win, right? Now we come back. Yeah, we lost our quarterback. But that doesn't matter. Everyone's still hot. Ricky Collins is going to come in. He's going to do the same thing. He's more mobile than Steve Angeli ever was. And he had the starting job before Steve showed up. He's going to do it today. Why? He's the starting quarterback. Now that's why we're going to beat Duke. So we should beat, but it's okay.
Syracuse football hopefully looking just as good as these overalls. What do you think, Mama, of the overalls?
Painfully shy.
All right, guys. Well, plenty of more people here on the quad that we're going to be excited to talk to. But in the meantime, back to you guys.
Great stuff, and we'll continue checking in with you throughout the morning as we build up to kickoff, which is about over 45 minutes away from inside the JMA Wireless Dome. Back here with Nate Cunningham and Milo Hoffman, I'm Sam Reis. Guys, when you take a look at how Syracuse's season has gone so far, would you say they've overperformed up to this point?
I think they've absolutely overperformed. This was a gauntlet of a schedule coming in, the 15th hardest schedule in the country. For them to be 3-1 to this point and to have as much success as they have, it's been an extreme success. The stats don't tell the story either. This is a gritty football team. They're physical. They go on and attack others. I mean, if you don't think this season has been a success, even with the loss, I think you'd be a little bit misunderstood.
I completely agree with you, and I think it's the Fran Brown effect. Right now, Fran Brown is 13-4 as the head coach of Syracuse football, and it's been so impressive. Maybe his second most important win. They're coming fresh off of against Clemson, or you lose Steve Angeli, but still you pull out the win. Even that win against UConn, you show grit. You're down 20-6 in the fourth quarter. So this team is serious. This team is legit, and they have a lot of heart.
Right, it's crazy to think about that week 2. Syracuse was on the verge of being upset by UConn, and it feels like the conversation would be drastically different, but instead that started a bit of a win streak. And I want to focus on last weekend because for the first time ever, Syracuse football went down to Death Valley and got the win. Now, regardless of the Tigers struggling so far for their standards, this was still a statement, Milo. And Steve Angeli injury aside, what really stood out to you in terms of how that game played out and how they got the job done?
I mean, Syracuse has shown now that they are one of the better offensive teams in the ACC. They have a triple threat at wide receiver. Normally, you think about big threes in football or basketball with LeBron, Wade, Watt. I mean, I'm looking at Daryl Gill, Jonte Cook, Justice Ross Simmons. They proved when they went down to Death Valley that they are maybe the best triple threat wide receiver group in the entire conference. And then you got tailbacks in Yasin Willis and Will Nixon, a really, really good offensive team for Syracuse. And then the defense is coming up as well, improving as of late. Started out as a struggle, but the defense is crucial, and at least they did well against the Tigers.
Well, outside of the X's and O's, Milo, that you did a great job explaining, I mean, how can you not appreciate the fact that they shut out the noise? It is Death Valley in Clemson we're talking about. That place is a terrible spot as a road team to go play, and Syracuse said it doesn't matter. They went in there, they shut it all out. They didn't just beat Clemson, they dominated Clemson. I think you have to give Syracuse a little bit of credit to be able to shut out noise like that, knowing that there's a couple of other big tests down the road.
Well, you talked about how they shut out the noise at Death Valley, a very loud place. We're trying to cancel out some of the noise behind us here on the quad. The band is getting into it right behind us, and the fans continue to file into the stadium to see Ricky Collins start his first career game. Of course, we beat around the bush a little bit because despite the win last week at Clemson, the big negative news was that Steve Angeli tore his Achilles, and you hate to see this, especially with how well he was playing in this game and so far this season.
He fit right into Syracuse's system perfectly. It's going to be hard to replace a guy like Kyle McCord, who's the nation's leading passer and could just throw the ball 60 times to feel confident. Steve Angeli gave you that confidence. Despite the Tennessee game, he looked like he had the pocket presence, he had the poise to deliver in big-time moments. Hey, that was not something coming into the year that we felt confident with Ricky Collins or confident with in Angeli. So for him to step up and to provide that, it was super useful. Now you have a gigantic question mark because in the times that we have seen Ricky Collins, he hasn't looked great.
I mean, what's the most important position on the football field?
It's
the quarterback position. Syracuse did well last year, I'd say 70% because of Kyle McCord.
Absolutely.
Like you just said, now you kind of have to run that back. You're filling in for another QB who is off to such a great start in Steve Angeli. I just feel for him so much. I feel for him because this was going to be a big year. Obviously, as a redshirt junior, time winding down at the collegiate level. So it's Ricky Collins now time to shine, and there's no choice but to show up.
That's right. It's Ricky time from here on out for the rest of the season. Steve Angeli is expected to utilize his medical red shirt, so he should have 2 more years of eligibility left. But looking beyond the season, what exactly does it look like at the quarterback position for Syracuse? What are some solutions? Well, the good news is we have Ben Chadwick here to tell us just that.
Hey, thanks, Sam. Steve Angeli's injury is what everyone is talking about right now, and rightfully so. But I want to take a look at how things might shake out next season. I've come up with the 3 possible scenarios I believe the Orange could find themselves in when the 2026 season rolls around. Let's start with the first possibility. And the one constant in all these scenarios is that Ricky Collins will be the starter for 2025. In this case, and the most likely one in my opinion, Collins just looks meh. You know, there's a reason Syracuse brought in Steve Angeli after getting Collins in the transfer portal this offseason. Ricky's only thrown 20 collegiate passes, and he struggles with accuracy. What this means for 2026 is Angeli will slot right back into the starting role, no questions asked. But things are a little different in scenario 2. In this scenario, Collins balls out. I'm not talking Heisman, but something similar to what Angeli showed in his starts. He has the tools, and he should have all the knowledge in the world after learning from Jaden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier, and head coach Brian Kelly at LSU. If this happens, the Orange will have no choice but to at least give Collins another QB battle next summer, which could cause a lot of uncertainty. And that brings me to scenario 3. I understand it's a bit jarring, just hear me out, because I know this is the most unlikely possibility, but it's also the most fun. So look, there are some miracle comebacks when it comes to football players and Achilles tears, but there's also plenty of career-altering stories. If Angeli doesn't come back the same, and Collins is clearly not the long-term option, Syracuse could hit the transfer portal right now. UCLA fired head coach Deshaun Foster 2 weeks ago. And why does this matter to Syracuse football? Well, it opens up a 30-day transfer window for all Bruins players, including former 5-star and widely regarded top 10 quarterback entering the season, Nico Iamaleava. Nico can't suit up for the Orange this year, according to the NCAA, but he can start practicing and learning the offense. It may be unlikely, but Nico could be SU's answer at quarterback next season. So there you have it. In scenario 1, Collins doesn't look great, and Angeli slots right back into the starting role. In scenario 2, Collins balls out and sparks another QB battle next summer. And in scenario 3, Steve doesn't look the same when he's healthy. Ricky clearly isn't the answer, so Syracuse brings in Nico Iamaleava from UCLA. Sam, back to you.
Ben Chadwick, thank you so much. So he laid out some realistic and maybe not so realistic scenarios for what could be in store at the quarterback position going forward. I think scenarios 1 and 2, the most realistic. If they go out in the portal and look for a guy like Nico Iamaleava, that would be pretty crazy. I don't see that happening. How about you guys?
I mean, Sam, I love a guy like Nico Iamaleava.
You do? I think
just
he's
not
a
in Syracuse.
Not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. Not coming to the 3-1-5. I think scenario 1 just makes the most sense. I don't think that Ricky Collins fits into this system quite like Angeli does. Obviously, that could completely change, as Ben mentioned in scenario 2. I just don't see a world where he throws the ball as efficiently as Angeli did.
He just has to fill the shoes to a certain extent, right? Hold your ground. Don't make it so there's such a big drop-off going from Steve Angeli to Ricky Collins, and then hopefully Steve Angeli returns next year and kind of reenacts what he was doing to start out this year.
Right, whether it's fair or not to Angeli coming back from the injury, if Ricky Collins does succeed the rest of the way, that could make for some very interesting quarterback competition all over again heading into next season. All right, that's looking down the road. We're up against another break, but after we step aside for a moment, we're going to delve into each position group for the Syracuse team and what we can expect for them here against Duke. Don't go anywhere. Cuse Countdown continues next, live from the Quad. Welcome back to Cuse Countdown from outside the JMA Wireless Dome. We're winding down to kickoff here at noon from inside the dome between Syracuse and Duke alongside Nathaniel Cunningham and Milo Hoffman. I'm Sam Reis. Let's focus in on the Syracuse team and what we've seen so far, what we can expect today as well. We'll start with the elephant in the room, Ricky Collins making his first ever start. I know you touched on it a little bit already, Nate, but what do you expect from him today?
I really don't expect a whole ton from Ricky Collins. He hasn't looked great in his first couple of games that he's gotten action in, and a lot of it has just been because he's flustered. He hasn't looked and had that confidence that a quarterback needs. But I will say this, give him some time. This is his first collegiate start. He hasn't had maybe that experience under center like a guy like Angeli did in the college football playoff, right? This is a completely different scenario. So I think if you give Collins some time, he will perform better than what he has looked like. But I don't think that's enough to maybe get Syracuse to where they were before Angeli went down.
I mean, this was the Ricky Collins week, right? Syracuse practiced knowing Ricky Collins was going to be the quarterback, and Ricky Collins is a guy coming over from LSU, a former 4-star recruit, sat behind guys like Jaden Daniels who are now doing well in the NFL. So Ricky Collins, keep him comfortable in the pocket. He's shown he can struggle with the accuracy at times. Not a big runner as well. So, I mean, that's what the Syracuse coaches are saying, at least. He's a pass-first guy. I don't know how much I believe that. But keep Ricky Collins comfortable in the pocket, and he should do well, just to say mediocre at best.
All right, so you guys touched on what we can expect from Ricky Collins, the new starting quarterback of this team, but how about the run game, which has been established a little bit? Yasin Willis and both Will Nixon making an impact a pretty even amount so far this season. Milo, should we expect a lot of running the football from Syracuse, considering it's an inexperienced Ricky Collins?
I think you're exactly right. I think Syracuse should run the ball exponentially more, and I'm going to go out there and say I think Syracuse should go with the two tailback set more. Have Yasim Willis and Will Nixon out there at the same exact time. You have Yasim Willis, who's an absolute bulldog. He can go down and get gritty, and then Will Nixon more of that receiving back who can get out inside the flat, run those quick 4 or 5 yard out routes, and then by the goal line, it's all Yasim Willis. Keep the defense on their toes. Now you have Ricky Collins, who doesn't have too much experience. The running backs are going to be crucial going forward.
When you talk about the running backs, the running game is what opens up the pass game. And this Syracuse offense has proved time and time and time again. After Tennessee, the only thing that was said was run the ball more, and then they threw it 60 times, right? This is a Syracuse team that if they are going to go out there and run the ball, it's only to throw it more. I just don't know how successful they're going to be with that. I think they need to rely on the run game. I just don't think they will.
All right, well, we'll find out how that exactly plays out in terms of the pass and run balance. If you were already missing our reporter on the quad, Gino Antimarino, well, I have good news for you. He's back with us again. Gino, you seem like a fan favorite out here. Who are you with now?
I don't know about that, Sam, but I'm joined with Liam? Greg. Greg. Now, you guys had a game of Jenga going on. Who's winning right now? Nice. Now it's family weekend. How are the festivities? Are you having fun?
Yeah.
What's most excited you are for? Are you excited for the game?
I'm excited for Syracuse to win.
All right. Well, really excited for the football game to get underway. I don't know. We might have to have a field goal kick here in the near future. We'll see. We'll see. Would you be up for that? Awesome. All right. In the meantime, we send it back to you guys.
I've been hesitant to love this.
Thank you so much, Gino. Great stuff, and we'll try to get to Gino at least a few more times before we conclude our 1-hour edition of Cuse Countdown from outside the JMA Wireless Dome. Focusing back on the X's and O's for the Syracuse team, well, there's plenty of receivers who have impressed in the early going, and we've got John Baccio, Dan Shalom, and Griffin Marcy to break down the key receivers for this team and what they've done well so far this season.
Thank you very much, Sam. Now it's time to talk about this elite wide receiving crew, and we'll start with the leader of the crew. From the slot is Jonte Cook, had 6 receptions for 113 yards against Clemson last weekend, and let's roll the tape. The best thing about Jonte Cook, can work from all over the field. This time as a slot, runs a slant route across the middle, big gain of 17 there, but then he sets it up with the same play. Starts going outside, works his way back over the middle of the field. He was a matchup problem all weekend long, and he just doesn't do only the short routes. He can go long as well. Look at that, straight up the seam. That's just strictly speed. Nobody could catch him. Avion Terrell, Shelton Lewis, doesn't matter. Cooked him all over the field. That's a 60-yard gain. And then, you know what? He can play out of the backfield as well. Here's a nice end around as well for another 20 yards. He was consistently the difference maker in this game this weekend. There was nothing Clemson could do to stop him at all. Even if it was 3rd and 6, just a nice rack play to finally finish things off. But he's not the only guy that cooked on the outside this weekend.
Thanks, Griffin. Now look, there's another junior wide receiver in that room that deserves just as much of attention as Jonte Cook, and that's Daryl Gill Jr., and plays like these are exactly why. Let's show it to you. You've got Steve Angeli lobbing one downfield, back right of the end zone. Daryl Gill for a fingertip catch in the back right of the end zone. That's one of his 3 touchdowns over the last 2 games. Plus, he had 150 yards and 2 tutties against Colgate 2 weeks ago, had 40 yards and this touchdown snag against Clemson. He's averaged nearly 80 yards per game to start this season, and wow, let's just take another angle at it. Daryl Gill beats his man in one-on-one coverage. That's money all day long. And there's one more receiver on the docket for you. Dan?
Thanks, John. Let's show you a guy who has some crazy hands for this Syracuse wide receiving core. That's Justice Ross Simmons. We're going to roll the tape from this past weekend at Clemson. Bossed again, 2nd straight weekend for Syracuse's receiving core, where they've had someone just go up and get the football. Look at this. Angeli, just a nice overarching pass. Ross Simmons brings it down. That was the tone setter for Syracuse. That's why they went on to win against Clemson. And he could do it with both quarterbacks. Look at Ricky finding him down here in the end zone. But the replay really gives this play the true shining moment that it deserves. Look at this. The push off, the one-handed grab. I mean, you can't make that stuff up. Each of Syracuse's receivers has something to offer for Justice Ross Simmons. It's the hands. That's going to come in clutch against Duke. Sam, back to you.
Thank you, Dan, and John, and Griffin as well. Great job breaking it all down with those three key receivers so far for the Syracuse team. And we've talked a lot about this Orange offense so far, but it's worth noting what the defense has done too. I'll start with you, Nate. Any names in particular that have stood out? I immediately point to Antoine Delorier.
Yeah, I mean, Antoine Delorier, a true freshman, has been stellar this season. Yeah. You talk about physicality, and Fran Brown loves the saying DART. Well, that T stands for toughness, and Delorier lives by that. This is a guy that is physical. He will go meet you in the gap. If you dare even come over the middle, he will blow off your helmet. He has no problem just blowing up a gap or even trying to blitz into the backfield. I think the fact that there is a linebacker core that does not care about the physicality, it will go at you, completely revolutionizes this defense.
I hear Antoine Delorier's name, I think game wrecker. But another big player on SU's defense is Demetrius Samuel, the 17-year-old, who's also could be an offensive segment because he also plays on the offensive side. But Demetrius Samuel has been really good at that cornerback position. Listen, coaches are going to target him because he's a young guy. He's someone that can really pick off the ball well and read offenses well. But coaches are still going to go after him because 17-year-old screams off of the page. But he's held his own so far this season. Expect another big day from him against Duke today.
Demetrius Samuel, the second youngest player in all of college football, and yes, he's teammates with David Reis on that defense, who is 27, 10 years older than him. That shows you the youthfulness and experience that exists on this defense for the Orange. We've talked a lot of Syracuse so far, but how about its opponent, Duke? We're going to dive into the Blue Devils after the break here on Cuse Countdown, live from outside the JMA Dome.
Women are bad with money.
It's what the world's been saying for centuries. But now, we've got something to say.
Save it. Save the old-fashioned advice, the empty excuses. It's all worthless, unlike us.
To our fellow females, it is time to save ourselves by saving our money.
Contributing to our futures, investing in our independence.
Until we're no longer
80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement. So again, we say to that, save it. The falsehoods, the feelings of fault, then the funds. Learn how to save for your retirement at wesaysaveit.org.
Welcome back to the quad just outside the JMA Wireless Dome on a sunny morning from Syracuse, New York, alongside Nathaniel Cunningham and Milo Hoffman. I'm Sam Reis. We're getting you set for kickoff between Syracuse and Duke, which is now less than 30 minutes away as more and more fans file in for what will be a sold-out crowd in that place behind us. We've discussed plenty about the Syracuse team and what to expect from them, but when it comes to Duke coming in here to the Dome, it's been a mixed bag of results so far. What has impressed you, and what is maybe an area where they need to work on?
Well, there's one thing that's impressed me clear as day, and that's defense. This is a defensive-minded team now. Manny Diaz and Jonathan Patke, the defensive coordinator and head coach, are all about wrecking havoc. And when I spoke with Jonathan Patke earlier this week, he even said his sole goal is to cause chaos. Yeah. That's what this defense looks to do. And so they've done an excellent job this year. They are 6th in the nation in tackles for a loss. They're 15th in the nation in sacks. This is a defense that is absolutely incredible. On the flip side, their offense is pretty shaky. They can't run the ball. This is a team that in their 2 wins ran the ball a ton, especially in the red zone. They had 2 touchdowns each from just on the ground. Again, in their 2 losses, 0. One of them, they had under 100 yards rushing. This Duke team has not been great at utilizing that run game, which is a part that can really hurt Syracuse.
You talk about the good, You talk about the bad, that means mid. Duke has just been mid. They've been up and down. They've had a couple big losses against Tulane, against Illinois, but then that win against NC State was very, very impressive. NC State, a team not to be, they're a good team. They go out there and they compete every single week. Duke came back in that one, led by Darian Mensah. So I think Manny Diaz, like you talked about the defense, he's a defensive-minded coach. He's going to come at you with all the different blitzes, all the different looks on the defensive side. And overall, I think this Duke team is solid. 2-2, I think that screams what they should be so far this season.
Yeah, it's hard to put a real finger on how to assess this Duke team so far because it's interesting. You know, you got a new QB in Darian Mensah coming over for Tulane. They're reportedly, nothing official, paying him around $8 million in that NIL. And the stats tell you that he's been, you know, pretty good so far. But when you watch the film and break it down, it's been a bit up and down for him like it's been for the team. And you guys brought up how he's a defensive-minded coach, but a lot of their games, you know, so far have involved some high scores. They're a team averaging over 30 points per game. And when we look back at how they did last weekend against NC State, Milo, you brought it up a little bit there, but this was more or less a shootout in which they did get the job done.
Yeah, and I think Duke is somewhat comfortable playing in shootouts now.
Sure.
Call me crazy with Darian Mensah, who's up there at the top in passing yards, leads the ACC in passing touchdowns. He's someone that you can really trust at the quarterback position. I know Sam was talking about it. The numbers, sure, the numbers say he's one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC, and I think you gotta believe those numbers. I watched the tape, sure, maybe sometimes he's struggling. Maybe the turnovers will get to him. Only 2 picks though. Duke overall as a team has fumbled the ball a whole bunch, but if Darian Mensah can keep the ball with the Blue Devils and not turn over like he's been doing really well so far this season, he's been elite. He's been elite. There's no other way around it.
Well, I think it's simple. You talk about the offense. I've got to go back to what I said before. The defense. The defensive line is one of the best in the country. DJ Anthony and Wes Williams are excellent off the edge. But let's go to the secondary. CJ Bailey, one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC for NC State, can march down the field quickly. Duke picked him off not once, not twice, but 3 times. They picked him off 3 times, once to seal the deal in that 4th quarter in a shootout.
Interceptions.
So when you look at what this Duke defense provides, especially in those shootout games, they know how to lock down and stay concise and stay within themselves, especially when they need to, Sam.
Right, and so Nate continues to highlight what this defense has done so far for Duke. But of course, the biggest talking point is all about Darian Mensah because he is the new guy on the block. You know, you have a young coach in Manny Diaz, a new quarterback in Darian Mensah. There are parallels in that sense to the Syracuse team. You guys have highlighted, you know, what you thought of Mensah so far, but in a game like today, he has to have the upper edge over a guy in Ricky Collins who's making his first career start.
Well, he absolutely does, Sam, but he has it not for maybe the skill set and what he's done in the past, but just for the fact that he is a poised QB. He does not get razzled at all. This is a guy that is confident when in there, and even when he's getting pressure, even when he has some action, he can scramble. He can get towards the sidelines and still make excellent throws. Darian Mensah is one of, I think, genuinely the better quarterbacks in the ACC.
I mean, you talk about scrambling so much, though. He doesn't run. Darian Mensah does not run the football. He has -8 rushing yards so far this season. Count that to a whole lot of sacks in the backfield. They're not planned out runs for Darian Mensah, but he has really, really good accuracy, and that's huge. We've talked about Ricky Collins' accuracy being a struggle. Darian Mensah has the experience coming over from Tulane, someone who can really, really make an impact for Duke in a big game and probably the biggest game of this year so far for the Blue Devils.
So what I'm hearing is expect Mensah to throw the ball quite a bit. They also have a pretty good running back room too, about 3 guys that they tend to rotate with throughout the course of the game. That's what we can expect here, and what you can expect right now is Gino Antimarino back with us here on Cuse Countdown. Gino, I heard you're about to try to kick a field goal. You're not a better kicker than me, though. I wish I was with you.
I'm not kicking anything. I got my man Liam here after you won the Jenga game, right?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so he's looking for his 2nd win of the day. All right, so here's our field goal. It's you know, some high quality stuff we got going on here at CitrusTV. All right, I'll set it right here. Let's see. You think you can do it? Oh, just a little wide. Just a little wide. It's okay. It's a small field goal post. You want to try again? One more. Okay. We'll do one more. Take a step. We'll bring it a little bit. All right. You want to run up, or you think you can just nail it like that? All right. We're gonna. Oh, that's all right though. It was a great kick. Soccer. Do you play soccer?
No.
That was good. That was good.
I play baseball though.
Ooh, okay. All right. So if it was hitting a home run, you would have nailed that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the game. Who are you most looking forward to seeing?
I don't really know most of the series. I'm just here to have fun.
Here to just have fun. Love to hear it. All right, Liam, have fun at the game with your dad. Should be a good one. All right, back to you guys.
Thank you. What do you say?
Gino, thanks so much. Electric stuff there, and you know, with a little more practice, I know he's a baseball player, that kid right there. With a little more practice, I think he could become a pretty good kicker.
Yeah.
I don't mean to toot my horn here, but I nailed a kick at the College Football Hall of Fame
From
down
10
in Atlanta.
yards?
It was nails. No, it was an extra point.
Okay.
It was
All right.
20-something yards, and I can hit from over 30. But that kid can get there with a little more practice.
Soccer player.
I don't know
You're
about
pretty
that.
good too.
I do know. Yes, I can kick the ball. I don't know if I got those skills though.
I like to live in the trenches. I'm more of a straight hands-on, pad-to-pad.
Game on the line. Give me Sam Reis.
I love that. Thanks for tooting my horn, Milo. I do appreciate it. And listen up, it's two head coaches who are just in their second year coaching at their respective programs. Fran Brown for Syracuse and Manny Diaz for Duke. What you might not know is that dating back to 7 years ago, these two actually have a connection. What is that connection? Josh Sokolsky is here to tell us about it.
Sam, if you've heard Syracuse coach Fran Brown talk about coaches he's going up against, you're bound to hear the civil tipping of the cap. Broad gestures of respect are nothing new for the up-and-coming coach, but it goes a little deeper with Duke's bench boss Manny Diaz. Brown may give kudos to a Brent Key or a FaceTime call to Dabo Swinney, but he went out of his way to say this about the face of the Blue Devils.
We cool. I could always call him and talk to him. We see each other. We would sit down. We at the ACC head coaches meetings. I'm going to go sit with him. So we good. He's a good guy. You know what I'm saying? I think he's a great man. Our kids got to know each other a little bit real quick. My wife and his wife know who each other are. So, I got respect for him. I like him a lot.
So what about Diaz and Brown's relationship is different? For that, let's take you back to 2018. Fran Brown had just finished his lone season as Baylor's defensive back coach under his former boss at Temple, Matt Rule. After a 7-6 season, the 36-year-old Brown felt ready to go back to be the head coach for the Owls, a school that's just a stone's throw from his hometown in Camden, New Jersey. Unfortunately, an out-of-towner from a bigger school had the same idea, and on December 13th, Manny Diaz, Miami's defensive coordinator, was selected as the program's new leader. Even though their careers didn't quite cross paths at that point, the very next day, Fran Brown would be the first hire on Manny's staff. Fran would be Manny's assistant head coach and would be a co-defensive coordinator. That's a big nod of confidence from a coach who just oversaw the nation's #1 passing defense. Brown had the chance to coach under one of the game's best defensive minds in his own backyard, where his roots to high school football will take recruiting to the next level. It seemed as though Temple was on the up and up for all of 17 days. Just like Brown, Diaz saw a head coach opening in his hometown and couldn't pass it up. On December 30th, 2018, Manny Diaz left Temple to take the Miami head coaching job. Well, that means Brown had another shot after New Year's to interview for the coaching job again, but yet again, Brown was passed over for Rod Carey. Brown stayed on Carey's staff as the co-DC, but not as the assistant head coach. He left Philly after one season, and Fran would have to wait 4 more long years before his shot finally came for Syracuse in 2023. But the Cuse job wasn't the only ACC vacancy that year. After 2 seasons in Happy Valley, Brown's former boss, Manny Diaz, was set to be the commander-in-chief of Duke. That set the table for the colleagues to eventually collide today. Brown and Diaz may be facing each other for the first time, but they know each other quite well thanks to 17 wild days in Philadelphia. Sam, back to you.
Jish, thank you so much. And that's fascinating stuff right there, guys. Jish did a great job of just the timeline of events from when they were technically a part of the same coaching staff for, 17 days before, Manny Diaz went elsewhere, and then Fran Brown eventually climbing his way up the ranks to finally get the head coaching job here at Syracuse. It's really cool to see those journeys for both of them.
And they're a little bit into different paths as well. Diaz just having a defense that is genuinely one of the best defenses in the country year in and year out at Miami, Penn State, and now here at Duke. In Syracuse, Fran Brown Brown said, I am going to do what I do best, and I'm just going to recruit. I'm going to get as many guys 5 stars that I can get. It's worked out pretty good so far.
I think if Fran Brown were to look at someone who's had such a similar career arc, it's Manny Diaz. I mean, they were together at one point, and now they're meeting today. I just want to take a moment to shout out Jish. You see that pull on the timeline there?
Great.
Unbelievable.
That was
So
awesome.
smooth. So smooth.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Very well done by Jish, who will be hosting Orange Press Pass later today at 4:30 after the game here on Citrus TV. It's time for another break, but let me tell you, we've been hyping up the Syracuse-Duke game for good reason as the fans continue to file in, but it's a loaded slate around the NCAA. We'll talk about it next on Cuse Countdown.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back to Cuse Countdown. We're now just 15 minutes away from kickoff. We're just outside the dome here, the Sala Family Plaza right behind us. It's getting absolutely packed as the fans file in on a beautiful day here in central New York. Alongside Nathaniel Cunningham and Milo Hoffman, I'm Sam Reis. I just heard a Hey Duke from behind me. There are some Blue Devils fans around here, but it's a majority orange for Parents Weekend. And going beyond just the Syracuse-Duke game, there are some fascinating matchups around the conference, which seems like a wide open ACC right now.
Yeah, especially with Clemson going down and not being as good as anticipated. SMU lost their ranking. Notre Dame has dropped a little bit. Georgia Tech obviously rising, and they're going to be a nice matchup with Wake Forest, also kicking off at noon. But this is an ACC where Syracuse can pick up a couple of these wins. They might be in that conversation for a conference title.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are a couple of ACC teams that are surprising people. You talked about Georgia Tech. I'm looking at Haynes King as maybe a Heisman favorite at this point. Maybe not in that top 3 or 5 range, but definitely inside that top 10, I would say. So Georgia Tech, a really, really important team to look out for. And overall, it's a really good slate in terms of the entire Atlantic Coast Conference.
And the ACC slate actually began last night when Florida State was upset by Virginia. One of the best field storms I've ever seen down in Charlottesville, a double overtime win for UVA. So now all of a sudden it seems like Florida State might not be as legit as we thought with a top 10 ranking heading into the day. So I think we all agree that the ACC is pretty wide open. But Milo, when we take a look at the entire NCAA schedule this weekend, my goodness, if you're sitting on your couch all day, starting with the Syracuse-Duke game and for the rest of the day, I don't blame you because I kind of want to do the same. This is one of the best slates I've ever seen. The whiteout tonight at Penn State has got me fired up.
You get me there. I mean, number 6 Oregon, number 3 Penn State, the whiteout. I mean, I think it's the best atmosphere in maybe American sports. I mean, there's definitely an argument for that. You got Penn State, you got Oregon, 2 high-powered offenses going at it in a really big game, too, early on in the season. This is definitely one of the top college slates throughout the entire season. So that game really has my eye, but there's so many more that also catch.
Well, I mean, how about we head down to Athens, Georgia, in a top 20 slate. Georgia, Alabama. You don't get much bigger than that. That is SEC football in prime time tonight. Hey, let's not forget about a top 15 matchup either with LSU and Ole Miss. That'll be a good one as well.
That's pretty darn good and not too shabby for the slate we have around college football, and it all starts behind us here at the Dome for Syracuse against Duke. We're about 10 plus minutes away from kickoff of that game, but focusing on the entire slate this weekend, if you're 21 and then a betting man or woman, well, Max Gifford has you covered on what you should be looking out for this weekend in case you want to play some wagers. Max, what do you got for us?
Hey, thanks so much, Sam. Why do you even need Stanford, Steve, when you have me?
I've got a parlay that is perfect for the chaos set to ensue this Saturday. And for the first part, we're worried about points. TCU and Arizona State are facing off for the first time since 1975. And fittingly, for the first meeting in nearly 50 years, the total is hovering right around 50. It's set at 54.5 to be exact. Pretty poetic, right? If these offenses show up even halfway awake, this thing could explode. I wouldn't be shocked if either team puts up 55 on their own. Don't overthink this one and take the over between the Sun Devils and the Horned Frogs. Now, one game that hasn't gotten nearly enough love. Number 24 Notre Dame taking on Arkansas for the first time ever. The Irish are favored by just 4.5 points. And to be honest, that feels suspicious, like Vegas knows something we don't suspicious. It's screaming, trap. But look, Notre Dame is the golden child of college football, and one more loss knocks them off the playoff board entirely. And if you're a little twisted like I am, you love that. Still, even the biggest Notre Dame doubter you know doesn't think Marcus Freeman is falling off a cliff just yet. I'll ride with the Father, Son, and the Holy Spread, and ride with the Irish to cover against the Razorbacks. All right, this one's not for the faint of heart. But with where our Beat the Bookie budget is sitting right now, it's time to start using logic rather than using just vibes. Just last week, Illinois was being whispered about as a sneaky CFP threat. One ugly loss later to an Indiana team that should have been a top 10 team to start, and now they're public enemy number 1. All of a sudden, every single person believes they were frauds and the Fighting Illini have no chance at home. Even if I don't think they deserve to be a top 10 team, and even though going back to Memorial Stadium probably won't magically change anything, I'm taking Illinois moneyline over number 21 USC in Champaign. ILL and hopefully ILI win you some money. That's $97 right there to deposit in your pocket when this all pays out. But if this money wasn't enough, let's get to that marquee matinee between Syracuse and Duke. There's not much series history for a sample size. Ooh, ambiance change, I like that. Big Burr and Drew were detailing it earlier in the show, so you need to do me a favor and you need to throw the records out the window for this one. Duke is the favorite in the Dome for this one, with Vegas giving them 5.5 points. Just for reference, Syracuse was 17.5-point underdogs on the road against Clemson and still came out with a victory in Death Valley. That was the second biggest upset in college football betting-wise this whole season. Yes, the Orange had Steve Angeli for a majority of that match, but the SU defense was as dominant as could be. Plus, I think a lot of people forget Fran Brown has only lost once in the Dome, and that was against Stanford over a season ago. So I don't think Duke is that daunting for Coach Brown and bunch. That's why I'm choosing the Cuse to cover the 5.5-point spread as the underdog at home. As for the over-under, this is a tougher bet to tell you about, because Duke is the better offense, but Syracuse has the better defense. It's really hard for me to see a world where Ricky Collins is the next Cuse quarterback messiah, but Darian Mensah is the real deal. So what do you get when you mix a mediocre backup against a brutal defense and a solidified starter against a stout defense? I'll tell you this, you don't get at least 60.5 points. Betting the under is a little lame, I'll admit it, but I don't see this being a shootout. So let's pray for a punt fest and let's get paid. Those are my picks that you can pocket for today. Syracuse covering 5.5, and this game going under 60.5 points. And with that, I'll punt things back to the set with Sam.
Max, and I'll tell you what, that's some good analysis right there from Max. I tend to agree with going with the under in this game. Syracuse covering, I don't know. What do you guys think?
The under, I think, is a good bet as well. I think this is just going to be a defensive matchup. It could be between a score, but honestly, for Syracuse to cover 5.5, that's a close bet. Nope. Okay, you're just going to put your foot down? No, they're not covering. Okay.
Syracuse is not covering this. I mean, my goodness. 60, I think that's a high line for the Lions.
Well, you said it could be a shootout.
It could be a shootout, but I think, like you were talking about, the defenses are really good. It's two of the best defenses, or Duke is one of the better defenses Syracuse has been struggling on that front, but I think 60.5 is a high line for this game, so I think the under is almost a lock, in my opinion.
All right, that's a little precursor, I guess you could say, for this thing we haven't done yet, and that's give our predictions. And we're going to do that next. One final break here on Cuse Countdown. We're about 5 minutes from kickoff inside the Dome. Will all of us give you our predictions next. Stick around.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're back here on the quad, just a few minutes away from kickoff between Syracuse and Duke for an important ACC matchup on a beautiful day in late September in the 315. Alongside Nathaniel Cunningham and Milo Hoffman, I'm Sam Reis as we wind down with kickoff just around the corner. That means it's your favorite time, my favorite time, prediction time. We'll start with you two guys. What do you got? Do the Orange get the job done? I'll start with you, Nate.
Well, Sam, we talked all day long. What do the Orange got to do? They've got new pieces. They've got a new quarterback. Their running backs are great. Their wide receivers are great. The defense is physical. I mean, how could you not pick against Syracuse with a sold-out 50,000 person stadium? Well, they're all going to leave with one feeling. A bit of disappointment. Give me Duke by $1 billion.
Duke by $1 billion?
Wow.
That's not even possible.
You're
That's
the
not even
villain.
possible.
Duke by $1 billion.
Give me this. Give me this. Are you kidding me? Duke by $1 billion? I'm gonna throw this thing out. Psych! Give me Duke 34 to 21.
This guy knows what he's
Blue
talking
Devils
about.
all day. That's Nate and I's predictions, but I want to hear what the rest of our crew thinks about this game, guys.
Well, Milo, the Dome is going to be loud today, and you can't forget, Ricky Collins was good enough to go to LSU. Give me Syracuse 30-24 in an offensive battle.
I don't think Ricky Collins is going to be the reason Syracuse gets the win, but I also have the Orange taking it 24-21 over the Blue Devils. Ben, what do you got?
Hey, thanks, Drew. And I agree with you on the margin there, but I got to take Duke in this one. 34-31, I have the Blue Devils winning. I talked about it before in scenario one. I think it plays out on Saturday with Syracuse. Ricky Collins is not the answer. He's not going to be that guy. He's not going to be Steve Angeli in this game or the rest of the season. I think it's going to be a rough start in his first career start against the Blue Devils, who are just going to take advantage of that all day long. Give me Duke in this one. Dan, John, how about you guys?
Ben, I don't want to hear it. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on this Orange team all day long. I know Ricky Collins is in there, but John, they're going to run the ball with Yasin Willis. Ricky doesn't even need to pass that much. Career day out of Willis. The defense is going to step up just like it did against Clemson with Darian Mensah, who is just overpaid, overhyped. I don't even see them coming close to winning this game. Give me Syracuse 30-24.
Dan, I hate to be that guy, and while SU might have to do a whole lot of this, what have they been doing this entire season? A whole lot of this, passing the ball. And who's their quarterback now? Well, that would be LSU transfer Ricky Collins, who was just 3 of 8 against Clemson. I'm saying the Duke Blue Devils take this one back to Durham. 21-13 is my prediction. Duke wins over SU. Jish, what's your prediction for this one?
Dan, John, I'm on the field right now, and let me just say the energy here is immense. Ricky Collins in his first collegiate start is going to build off that energy as well, and that's why Syracuse is going to win in front of a sellout crowd 41-33. I trust Ricky Collins will settle into this Jeff Nixon offense and really take advantage of this Swiss cheese Duke defense. Give me Syracuse by a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. Max, what do you got?
Well, Jish, there was a reason I didn't make any money line bets a bit ago. I'm kind of torn on this one, as the ambiance has come in now for our CC predictions. I'm wearing red right now, so I'm not giving the edge to the Blue Devils. I am giving the upper hand to the Orange, and I think they win it 24-17 in the Dome today. Sam, from one CC host to another, we'll send things back to you.
Nate and Milo were the villains. We got a little bit of a mixed bag. We're now joined by my guy, Gino Antimarino. Gino, are you going to be an optimist here? Quick prediction.
27-20, Syracuse takes it. I don't know what these guys are talking about. You heard the boos. This is a sold-out Milestone crowd. I'm going Syracuse.
I'm with you. Give me the Orange. 31-27. This Duke team has been underwhelming to me so far. So a little bit of a mixed bag, but that should make for a competitive game.
Exactly.
Not Duke by a billion.
Duke by a billion,
all right,
baby.
well,
Quote
Nate
it.
thinks that puts a wrap on a fun edition of Cuse Countdown from outside the Dome. A huge thanks to our producer, Dan Papillo, everyone else working hard behind the scenes to make this possible. For Gino Antimarino, Milo Hoffman, Nathaniel Cunningham, I'm Sam Reis. Enjoy the game, Syracuse and Duke.